So this is our first animal, is the female kudu trying to get something to eat this afternoon. A very, very good afternoon, boys and girls, and welcome to the beginning of your day. I'm traveling with David, who is my camera operator, and for in case if you need our attention, you can ask your parents to ask us questions on I've just forgotten the link a little bit, but I'll come back to you with it at NatGeoKids at wildearth.tv. So I've been away for quite a while, so I have forgotten some of the things. But now let's go back to our animal. Right in front of us, we have got the kudu, which is a female kudu. The male kudus, they carry horns, and both male and female kudus are browsers, which means they both feed on leaves from these trees. So these kudus must be very excited because it has been raining here in South Africa, specifically here by the Juma area and Mpumalanga. This area have received a little bit of rain at the moment, so animals are getting excited and they are also getting nutritious leaves from the big trees. So look at those big ears. The big ears on these kudus helps them in order to collect a lot of sound so that they can hear the predators approaching them from quite a long distance. So we're just going to move further and carry on to see if we can find something very interesting for you. So now let's move from the kudu to the small antelope. Let's quickly go to a pet who's got a beautiful impala.
Oh, me. Sorry about that, everybody. There was a little comms error there. Welcome to the Sunset Safari. My name is Patrick, and joining me on camera today, we have the Batman, Craig. So we are sitting with this herd of impala, which is doing exactly what we are doing right now, and sitting in the shade. We can see that there's a lot of little impala lambs with this herd, and I'm sure, like these little curious children, there is a lot of little curious children watching along on the NatGeoKids. So please get your parents to send any questions you might have to NatGeoKids at wildearth.tv. I'd like to hear all of your questions about these beautiful antelopes. I was actually doing some reading on impala today, and it's awesome to read that they have not changed for 6.5 million years. Well, they have changed very, very slightly. So that is really a testament to how good these animals are in these environments, how adaptable they are to the savanna woodlands. And just to give some comparison, the hartebeest and the wildebeest, since evolving from a creature similar to an antelope, has evolved into 18 different species on its journey to the present day. So that is really a testament to these impala. Of course, it is probably about the end of lambing. Yeah, definitely well out of lambing season now. So we're seeing lots of little lammies running about, and it's a very cute sight. We do sincerely apologise to everybody watching along for that little technical glitch. The gremlins have obviously come back, but we're back here now. So as I was saying before that little hiccup, these animals, the impala, have not changed for 6.5 million years in an evolutionary sense. So just to give you a bit of contrast, a bit of comparison, other antelopes like the hartebeest and the wildebeest have evolved into 18 different species on their journey to the present day. So that means they've changed 18 times into what is now known as a wildebeest and a hartebeest. So that is super interesting that these impala haven't changed despite the other antelope going through a lot of different changes over time. It really shows how well suited and well adapted they are to these environments. Another actually really cool thing about the impalas here in the Kruger National Park is, well, I read this from a book that's about 3 years old, so I'm not exactly sure if this still is the same, but there is more impala in the Kruger National Park than there are any other herbivore combined. So I'm not sure whether that still stands, but that's pretty crazy considering their numbers were quite low in the past. So they are a resilient animal and beautiful. That rufous coat on the top, going down to fawn, and the white belly. Super aesthetic, very, very aesthetic. Or good looking for any kids watching along, that's what that word means. Aesthetic means good looking. Well, it's nice to spend some time with these beautiful animals on this hot day. But we do have some other mammals, much bigger mammals, much greyer mammals. I'm sure you can figure out where I'm getting with this one. So let's go to David in the Murra and see what he has to show us.
Well, hello boys and girls of Nat Geo, and a very warm welcome to the Masai Mara. We have gone now thousands and thousands of miles or kilometers from South Africa to another country called Kenya in East Africa, and my name is David, and with me on camera is Archie. Archie, good afternoon. Good. When Archie does that, that means good luck, and it's good luck because we are seeing elephants, which are looking forward to them having their trunks up, which is always a sign of good luck. Now, boys and girls, remember, as Pat might have told you before, and my other friends in South Africa, your questions gives us a lot of joy, your comments gives us a lot of happiness, so keep sending them through using NatGeoKids at worldearth.tv. We got a herd of elephants there, and you can see they're just crossing the road. And if you look on that one carefully, she got a branch on top of her back. It's because sometimes when they eat, they use their trunks to pull the grass from the ground, and sometimes they just throw it up, or they'll just pick some soil from the ground and they throw it on their bodies. So the soil might be together with some branches or with some leaves. These are what we call African elephants, and what we want to do is to move forward a little bit so that we can show you better how many they are and maybe tell you something small about these elephants. Well, the area they're moving to is a bit thick, not the very best place to see them, so we shall just move on, and you definitely, if we see more, we'll show you others. All right. So as Sydney might have told you before, that your questions usually give a lot of joy. Sydney and myself, when we have children on TV show, or when we have children on a drive like this, we'll always do what we call the big five for the children. So I have shown you one of the big five, and I want myself, Sydney and Pat, all of us, to work and see if we can get the big five for you today. Okay, now I just want to tell you what the big five are: elephants, buffaloes, lions, rhinos, and leopards. So that will be our plan for today. Me from Kenya, and I'm sure Pat and Sydney from South Africa. We have been having a lot of rain here in Kenya. If you look on the road, you can see is water left, right, and in the middle of the road. we have been having what we call the short rains. And the short rains might continue until the end of the year. And then it's going to be dry. But as it will be drying up, it's going to be green all round, and the animals will be having a lot to feed on. So my next plan possibly is to look for some lions for you, if I'm lucky. So cross your fingers, boys and girls, cross your toes, and hopefully I'll be able to get you some lions at one point. A bit colder here than it is in South Africa. It's about 25 degrees Celsius and 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's much colder here than it is in South Africa, and that's why I have an extra layer on top. Okay, time to look for the big five. We have stretched one of the big five, but between now and the time we finish the big five, we shall be seeing lots of animals on the way. We got some antelopes coming up here. Archie, what do you think of these antelopes to the left? Well, child of the universe, as we're trying to show you the topics here, your question is, how often do we see elephants in the Mara without tusk? It's very rare, child of the universe, to see elephants here in the Mara without tusk. What sometimes we see is maybe an elephant missing one tusk. But once in a while also we'll see one missing both. But child of the universe, that is quite rare. In general, they'll always have both tusks. And that's the case also in a country called Tanzania, south of Kenya. But if you go to the west of Kenya to another country called Uganda, we have found out there's a particular national park, child of the universe, in Uganda called Bwindwi National Park, where they have found out 20% of the elephants there, both males and females, do not have tusks. And they've been having all these theories thinking maybe poaching was very bad in that country, and maybe the elephants through evolution have found out if the poachers will bring us down because of our tusks, why grow them? I mean, there have not been anybody who have been able to explain clearly why they do not have any tusks. But that's one of the theories, child of the universe. The reason sometimes you might see an elephant with one tusk is either genetical, sometimes, or some of them are born with one tusk, or sometimes along the way in their life when they go fighting, especially males, or when they go bringing down branches and trees, and then they lose one or it gets broken. That could be some of the reasons why we see these elephants with only one tusk. All right, such a beautiful weather after the rains we had. Another, like 1 hour ago, we had some very heavy rains, which have now stopped, and everything looks bright and smelling very fresh. Okay, my destination, as I told you, boys and girls, children of the universe and all the other nice viewers, is to look for lions possibly. But as I do that, I'll take you back to South Africa, to my friend Sydney.
So I am having one of those big and lovely animals at the moment. I'm just trying to approach nicely from this direction, and we are going to see these beautiful and majestic animals. We are just going to see these beautiful animals. They are very much stationary feeding, and this is a surprise. So it's a small head of the elephants. You can see there a lot of them are feeding at the moment. It's just that the bush is very thick where we are at the moment, so it's not easy to see the big body. Oh, there's some babies as well. Look at that. You can see the small babies are right behind the trees. So So the elephants, when the sun is hot like this, they prefer to go and do the mud wallowing. So you can see they are all looking very wet and they are full of mud. So this mud helps the elephants in order to trap the sun. They use this mud as a sun cream to prevent the sunburn. Sickle bush. So a sickle bush is one of those trees which has got quite a lot of nutrients. The elephants, they fight. Normally they don't fight for dominance. Here by the elephants, they are all guided by a matriarch. An oldest female is the one in charge. So the males, they don't come and fight the matriarch. Matriarch is responsible, and all the males, they've got to be submissive. Yes, sometimes you will see the teenagers, they push each other mostly, and they engage each other on a fight, but not a real fight. Yes, sometimes it can be vicious, but mostly they play by pushing each other as if they're fighting. So these elephants are feeding, and they are also going under trees in order to have some shade. There's too much food and too much shade for these big animals. So they are very much quiet. Elephants, we can hear them by picking up the noise when they're pushing down the trees and when they're breaking down the branches. But here, I can promise you, because the food is everywhere, there's no need for them to push down the trees to eat the roots. They are concentrating on the twigs and leaves. A park, they make a very interesting sound, such as that is when they are communicating, make use of the ultrasound. But when they are communicating, below your hearing, you will hear something like that is how they communicate. So I'm just going to carry on and see if we can improve this sighting. So these elephants, they've got babies, but they are very peaceful. So they're not worried about our presence at all. So the vegetation has changed very quickly. It's difficult to see such a very big animal. They can stand tall up to 5 to 6 meters. And look, with this bush recovering, it's not easy. So you can see they're all still here. So these animals can be able to eat up to 400 kilograms a day. And that is quite a lot of food. And they can drink 150 to 200 liters of water. So you can see that this big body size needs quite a lot of food maintenance. So the babies that we have just seen now, they've got to stay together with his parents for a period of 16 years. After 16 years is when they are going to become independent. So, but when they're still young within the head, they are going to be nursed by the mother. When they're just about 2 to 3 years is when they will start to feed for themselves. But when they are less than that, the mother is caring for the young a lot. So you can see that the ears are moving all the time. It's also another thermoregulatory strategy. They use the ears in order to cool the body temperature. So now let's cross over to Pat, who's got the elephants by the Viotella pen. Maybe by Pat's side they are much more clear.
Yes, some beautiful alleys down here. It looks like they just had a little bit of a wallow around in the mud. Looks like we have a mother and a child here. Obviously beating the heat today. Ooh, here we go on the right. We've got one coming down. Now this walk, we will quite often see. It's a very characteristic walk, that real kind of swaggery strut. And this is what we will see when they are coming down to drink water. We'll also see it in musk bulls and also sometimes when they're feeling uncomfortable, but there's no mistaking this moment right here. How amazing is this? Just to see how stoked, excuse me, just to see how stoked these elephants get to find water. And it looks like this young one out the back here is a male. I can see the penis there. So it's a young bull. Child of the universe, I haven't heard of or seen that happen ever, but I mean, potentially, well, with mammals, one thing that's really special about mammals is that we pass down information through generations. So, I mean, maybe if they were teaching the young one, or perhaps just to give it some food, but when there's plenty of other food available, I mean, I don't think that they would do it for them, if you get what I'm saying. I think that they might show them, but I don't think that they would do it for them and then feed it to them. Of course, the mother will feed milk when they are very young, but this one has definitely stopped suckling long ago. So how good is this? Look at how well they use their trunk. Oh, I'm glad you can all hear that splashing sound. It actually sounds very refreshing right now. It is a stinker of a day, 36 degrees Celsius, 96 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is very hot, and I mean, I'd probably love to be wallowing around in that mud right now like this alley. Of course they are doing this to keep themselves cool. One of their few cooling mechanisms. And I did read a paper the other day that said another potential, I'm not sure whether this is actually true or not. I think it would be something that would be good to investigate using the FLIR, the heat thermal temperature, because apparently elephants have hot spots on their body in which they will rapidly exchange heat with their environment, so that will help to cool them down. But whether or not this is actually true, I'm not sure. But of course, look at that. What is he doing? What's she doing? Yeah, must have itchy ears. I've never before seen that. An elephant putting their trunk on the back of their ears. But I was speaking about cooling, and that is another way they keep themselves cool, is they have really thin ears and lots of blood vessels going through the ears. So that will lower the amount of ear to air that there is, and therefore that will decrease the temperature of the blood, and when it goes around the body it will obviously cool them down a little bit. So maybe it was wetting the back of the ears to speed up that process. Looks like one of them has started grazing now. We know that alleys are both grazers and browsers, as are giraffes, who I believe Sydney has found. Oh, sorry, no, this is to the Mara. I apologise for that, everyone. David in the Mara has found alleys. Let's go check it out.
Well, boys and girls, I got something new, and we just found the tallest animal in the whole world, and this is a giraffe. Now, the elephants you saw before, or the ones that you just saw with Sydney, plus this giraffe, we call them vegetarians, or a better word would be herbivores, because they only eat green matter, be it grass, be it leaves, be it branches, or twigs. But the giraffe is a bit different from the elephants as much as it's also a herbivore, because the giraffes do not eat grass. And if you look at him, small green bushes, because the person will eat both grass and trees and things, but only eat leaves. So she is not eating any grass but only leaves. Browsers, because they browse top trees or bushes, while elephants will eat everything else. Now, if you look carefully on this giraffe, let me just move. Do I back up at you? Move forward a little bit. We're going to have a look on this particular giraffe here, because on top of her back she got some 3 little birds. Let me give you a different angle and see if you can see that. Okay, as she's walking away, look on top of her back and tell me what you see. Now if you look carefully, she got 3 birds on the neck, on the back. Now these birds here are called oxpeckers because they tend to peck, and what they do, they'll always remove some parasites from the back. Or you see there's a lot of hair on the neck of that giraffe. We got small parasites that will always try and hide there like flea, but these ones here we call them ticks, and these oxpeckers, that's the job they do. So they have a relationship that we call a symbiotic relationship. So by virtue of the giraffes having those ticks there, or mite, these birds will remove them, and when they remove them, the giraffes benefit by getting this process out of their body, and the birds benefit by getting food. So look at that one trying to have a little drink there. You see they got very long legs, very long necks, and for them to be able to reach anything much lower on the ground, they have to put their legs apart. You see how they put their legs apart to have a drink. Now, apart from this giraffe that is drinking, I think Pat got elephants that are also drinking.
Yes, everybody is drinking this afternoon, and it is no surprise. It's very hot. So we are back with those 3 elephants who I did say that I did incorrectly identify the sex of one of them. So the young bull was a young bull, but the first one that was with it was also a bull, and it was a cow that joined in later. So I do apologise for that. So we have 2 bulls and a cow drinking at this lovely little water hole. Now, a full-grown elephant can fit up to 15 litres of water in its trunk. So it essentially uses it like a straw. I don't know if you've ever sucked up something through a straw and then put your finger on the top and then taking your finger off and it's all come out. That's pretty much what's happening here with the elephants. So they'll suck it up and then squirt it into their mouths and get a big old drink of water. So they must be having a spa day today. Mud bath and then a drink, and if we're lucky, maybe even a swim. Do their feet get tired from standing so much, Kathy? Well, I don't think so. I mean, they are very heavy animals, but they also have made many adaptations along the years to cope with their weight and their size. So I think they're pretty well on their feet. You will see them resting on the ground a lot when they're younger, but as they become older and older and there aren't people who look over them and protect them, then they stop doing it so much. But I know if I was on my feet as much as an elephant, I would probably get sore feet. Looks like this one is, yeah, resting its feet there, trying to get over that log. That was quite cute, actually. Now it's really got an attitude in that walk. Perhaps that was aimed towards that other one there. And the drink is done. No swim today. They mustn't have felt like a dip. But I bet they're very refreshed and very satisfied. Awesome. I'll just move down a bit so we can still look at these beautiful mammals. Dragon wizards, do elephant tusks keep growing throughout their entire life? Yeah. They won't stop growing. Oops, sorry, just coming down a bit of an incline here. Yeah, so they'll keep growing. Obviously, they use their tusks for a lot of things, so they will get worn down and chipped away at, and in some cases even completely broken. But it is something that is, will regrow. So if it's snapped off at the base, then it won't regrow. But yes, they will, just like your nails, or your, not your teeth, sorry, your nails. They will continuously be growing. Your teeth don't continuously grow. That would be very hard to keep them all in your mouth once they got to a certain size. One thing I'll never be able to get over is just how beautiful some of the bonds between elephants are. I mean, we're kind of seeing it right now with these two. They're not really touching in interaction. It does look like they're eating the poo. That's probably not the best meal. There is fresh grass right next to it. Oh, little fella. Seems to be really chowing down on it. I guess elephants' digestive systems aren't overly efficient. There would still be quite a bit of nutrients left in that dung. But I just think there's so many other things around here he could be eating, especially at this time of the year when everything's green and fresh. And the other two turning their backs on him. Still going. What a strange little man. And on he goes. No, still interested in it. Yes, the Lego bro. Elephants most definitely do have other teeth. So the tusks are modified in sizes, but they will also have molars in their mouth as well that they use to grind down and crush their food, which is all plant material. And they get 6 pairs of these throughout their life, or 6 sets, should I say, sorry. And once those 6 run out, that's it. They don't have them anymore. And so, unfortunately, that is when death starts to knock on the door, because they can't feed anywhere near as efficiently as they used to. They can't break down their food by chewing it. So things start to go a bit haywire from there. Alright, well, looks like these elephants have wrapped up their day by the water. So let's go and see what Sydney's up to.
I am now driving much more towards one of the water holes, which is called the Buffalo's Hook. Here by the Buffalo's Hook is where I'm hoping to find something. It's not easy to find the animals today because of the weather condition and the thickness of the bushes. Let's hope for the best. In a few seconds' time, we are going to be at the dam. Oh, hippopotamus is there. Hippopotamus is there. Look at that. This is beautiful. So we are very lucky with the hippopotamus at the moment. So you can see that we have just arrived at the same time with those 2 birds who are landing against these hippopotamus. So I saw them coming in now. So this is the hippopotamus. So the water is not too much, but I think it's enough. This water can be able to cool his body temperature. So the hippopotamus during the daytime, they prefers to just lie down in water, and sometimes you'll see them coming out. So you can see he cannot even fit the whole body in that water hole. He can only put down the nose. He is probably lying down there. He's on the floor. So the water is not too much. This dam was completely dry a few weeks ago. So it's only now that it's starting to accumulate more water as it is raining. So the bears that we are seeing on this hippopotamus, they are doing a great job. And hippopotamus is one of those animals who has to be thankful the oxpeckers. These are called the red-billed oxpeckers. Look at what he's doing. You see, the red-billed oxpeckers clean the wounds and also eat the parasites. But sometimes they also drink the blood coming out of these wounds and the small dead tissues. You can see how that one is doing it. So this animal is being cleaned. There's quite a good relationship when talking in terms of what is called symbiosis, which is living together of two different species. This is a good example. When the oxpeckers bears are eating the ticks from the hippopotamus, it is a relationship, and it's called mutualism, because both the hippopotamus as well as the bears are getting benefit. Bears are getting benefit in the form of food, and animal is being cleaned. So these are all part of symbiosis. Linda, the male hippos, they have got dark outer layer of the eyes, whereas the females, they have got a pink outer layer of the eyes. And what I'm seeing there, it looks pink. Yes, despite the fact that this hippo looks old, but the outer layer of the eyes, it is pink in color. That is how I simply distinguish between the male and the female hippopotamus. So a lot of hippopotamus are by one of the Perhaps I am not too sure in terms of the number of the teeth the hippopotamus has got. I'm going to have to execute the task of conducting an investigation to make sure, in order to know how many teeth does the hippopotamus have. But these teeth, you see the hippopotamus showing off all the time. They don't really use this kind of teeth for feeding purposes because they are too big, and hippopotamus, they use these teeth for grazing purpose. So they are there to serve a purpose to do with defense. So this is quite a very good sighting. Really, these hippopotamus, they are feeding in between the trees, and sometimes they fight amongst each other, and that is how they injure each other. Some of them, they do escape predation, because hippopotamus are big animals, but sometimes the other predators, they do try and take down the hippopotamus. They get injuries, and some, they get injuries from the internal fights, and the fights can be vicious. So he can be able to put his nose down for about 5 to 6 minutes and come out again for a breathing purpose. So that eye we are seeing there, it has got a membrane called the nectating membrane, which helps them in order to see when they're underwater. Same applies to the frogs. They do have that kind of nectating membrane to protect the eyes against these waters. And some of the land mammals as well, such as the artfuck. The artfuck is one of the animals which normally digs the ground to prevent dust from entering the eyes. They've got this nectating membrane. So you can see he was breathing just now. So this animal looks very small because it's in water. When it's out, it's very much big. and this big body size can run 36 kilometers per hour. It's so fast. Lorena, thank you very, very much for all your efforts. Lorena is the one who brought the answer I wanted to investigate, as I indicated earlier, about the exact number of teeth the hippopotamus has got. Lorena has indicated that according to Google, she found out that it is about 36 teeth. So you can see that this hippo is trying to submerge, but it's difficult because the water is too little. So this Jima, the hippopotamus has got a very thick skin, and their skin has got a very strong layer of fat, which helps them in order to prevent sunburn. And they also secrete a subcutaneous gland, a gland which helps them in order to prevent a sunburn. Unfortunately, they cannot sweat. So they are relying on the glands and the thickness of the skin to prevent sunburn. Look at that. And that is why if you check at night, when we are using one of the cameras, the thermal cameras, it's very difficult to see the high temperature on the hippopotamus because of that fat layer of skin. So when the mouth is open, you will see the big teeth. Those big teeth can go up to 40 to 50 centimeters, and that is very much long. Imagine a bite from 40 to 50 centimeters teeth long. That can be very, very dangerous. So the hippopotamus, they are territorial. So the territorial animals is those animals who normally demarcate and say, I am staying here together with my family. So, but their territories, it is well maintained when they have got the females. But when it comes to the food availability during the dry season, they can leave territories and travel long distances. Niconico viewer, it has been a long without hearing from you. The hippopotamus are grazers. Grazers are those animals who feed on grasses. So their diet is consisted of grass, nothing else. They don't eat leaves and they don't eat meat. Some of them has been recorded moving away some of the old carcasses, but they don't really eat meat. Hippopotamus, they are grazers. And these animals, their digestive system works very interestingly. So it works like it works more like a hand-gut fermenter, but they've got four-chambered stomach. The four-chambered stomach, which works like a hand-gut fermenter. A hind-gut fermenter is an animal which has got a simple stomach. A simple stomach, mostly those animals, they start to digest food from the mouth. As they are chewing by the mouth is when the digestive system starts. Just same like we do. We are hind-gut fermenters and we digest as we are chewing from the mouth. Before food gets to the stomach, already the process of digestion has taken place, started. So those birds we are seeing on the hippopotamus, they are good indicators of some of the big heads of animals such as the buffaloes. When looking over the buffaloes, if you concentrate up in the sky, if you see the oxpeckers circling and making their calls, it means they are lying down somewhere. So we do rely on these kind of birds in order to find some other animals. So I'm just going to drive around here and see if there is anything we can find around the dam. And while I'm doing that, let's cross over to David. Good afternoon, David, by the Masai Mara.
Well done, Sydney. Hopefully when you drive around, you're going to see something. Remember, I promised the kids you might be able to be getting them the big five. And when I was showing you the giraffe, I might not have mentioned to you that why giraffe is not one of the big five. And I think it's high time I explain to you why we call the big five, because I'm sure you've seen leopards in pictures. Leopards are that big compared to giraffes, like I was showing you before. That's like 20 times, 30 times bigger than a leopard. Now, the big five are called the big five because those 5 animals are the most dangerous animals in Africa, you see? But that doesn't mean hippos are not dangerous. And long time ago, we got people who would come to Africa to hunt animals. And the good news are we do not hunt animals anymore. And they also happened to hunt those particular 5, and they did not hunt the hippo very much. So there are 2 reasons why sometimes we call those 5 animals the big 5. So one, as I said, is because they're dangerous. And also the other reason why we call them the big 5, it's because they are the animals that were hunted most by hunters a long time ago. And of course, they were hunted for their trophies. Now, buffaloes, if you happen to see buffaloes, they got very huge racks of horns. That's the reason they hunted the buffaloes. Of course, lions, because of their beautiful skin, and more so the males, because the males have the beautiful hair or fur that we call the mane on the neck and the head. Rhinos, of course, because of their 2 horns. Elephants, because of the tusks they had, and the tusks were used by certain people to make some carvings. And which one did I forget? Of course, the leopard. The leopard, because they got very beautiful skins. So what I am going to do, or we're going to try very much between myself, Pat, and Sydney, is maybe to get you maybe 3, possibly 4 of the big 5. Now it's time to keep opening my eyes, because this area I am in now is one area I've always seen lions. It's not because they live here, but they tend to move. Every time I come to this large territory here, I'm always lucky to spot them. This could be the lucky days. You remember earlier I told you, you cross fingers and you cross your toes. And you can see how the vehicle is moving like this. It's because of the rains I was talking about before. Lions could be anywhere under the trees like here, or just even on an open area, depending on what they're doing. If it's too cold for them, as the temperatures are a bit down, chances are they could be in an open area and trying to get a bit of sunlight. So boys and girls, keep your fingers crossed. I'm doing everything possible, and yeah, Casti in the final control tells me all of you would be excited to see lions. So it's just keeping my eyes open, and I'm with Archie. Well, Archie is doing the same. I'm looking on one side, let Archie look on the other side. You have noticed the vegetation here, and the vegetation in South Africa with Pat and Sydney is quite different. Here, it's more open. Of course, we'll have a tree here, a bush there. But in South Africa, they got much big thickets. So we got better chances of spotting lions here than there. But sometimes they'll always see them before we see them here. So it's always a question of luck. I'm trying to do everything possible before we finish the show for you boys and girls. At least we get one cat for you. It could even be a leopard. In South Africa, Sydney and Pat, they always see or spot more leopards more easily than here. So Gemma, how are you? And you say this area is one of your favorite areas in the Mara. I mean, this one area here, Gemma, who would not want to be here? I mean, it's lovely, it's open, and I'm not sure you followed me earlier. I was talking about the onset of the short rains, and even today, an hour and a half ago, we had some massive rains, and it's smelling so fresh, and the light is just fantastic. And I think from a distance I can see some buffaloes. Thank you very much, Gemma, for that great comment. And this is one area one day should just come. And sometimes I've always said you do not have just to drive and see the animals, but as you say, it's an area you love. You can just drive and just enjoy the scenery. It's very scenic. I would say the landscape is just magnificent. You'll have tree line in a particular area, and then you can small little hills, and then of course you come to the very famous savanna of the Masai Mara. Now I can see buffaloes from a distance, but I'm trying to imagine, because the migration is gone. Boys and girls, when I'm talking about the migration, I'm talking about wildebeest and zebras have all gone back to another country south of Kenya called Serengeti National Park. So the lions now have to deal with the buffaloes for feeding. Now, as I get close to my buffaloes, let's go and see an animal in Sydney that lives inside the water sometimes.
So you can see that the hippopotamus is now moving out of the water hole and has just proven to us that this is a male, is a very big male. Look at that. You can see that very big head. So he has been displaying some of the interesting behavior. He was opening and closing the mouth and biting water earlier on. It was amazing. Maybe he's gonna do it again. So you can see that these animals, they do need to be in water and outside. So you can see he is now moving alongside the drainage. I'm just going to pull forward a little bit so that we can see what he's thinking and where he's going. So this is not the best time for them to graze, but maybe he's going out there for grazing or for lying down. We will never know. But normally it's when they're just going to rest in between the trees. So maybe he's going to lie down somewhere there by this dry riverbed. And this dry riverbed, they do accumulate some of the water by the small water holes where they also go and rest and do mud wallowing. You can see now he's under the shade. It means the sun is very, very hot where he was. So the water was not making a huge difference. So now I am just going to go to that side and see what he's having there. Maybe he might be having another hippopotamus hiding somewhere there. I'll just go and investigate. So let's now cross over to the buffaloes in Kenya, Masai Mara.
Ati anakuja kwetu, mara sijui kamera, mara sijui light, mara. Well, boys and girls, that was very good to see a hippo that I was talking about as a dangerous animal, but it's not one of the big five. And I told you we're going to do the best we can to see the big five. Now, we got buffaloes here, and buffaloes qualify in that list of the big five. There are so many, and you see what Archie will be doing, panning his camera to showing you either they're 10, 20, 100. I think we got a herd of about 300 buffaloes here. Can you believe that, boys and girls? Look at them. These are called the African Cape buffaloes, and I'm sure you have all seen the water buffaloes, most likely, for those of you who live in North America. And here, both of them males and females, just like the water buffaloes have got horns. And from a distance, sometimes it's difficult to tell males from females, but when you see them at close-up, we'll always look at their horns. Males have a little bit built or heavier horns than the females. Remember, boys and girls, questions, comments, nudge your kids at worldearth.tv. sending emails, and that will make us enjoy listening to you. From a distance, you can see some white birds there in the background, top left of your screen. You see them? We call those birds egrets. And what egrets do, when the buffaloes will be moving and weaving through the grass, they disturb the grass. And when they disturb the grass, what happens? You'll get small insects jumping up. And when those insects jump up, those birds will always catch them. How clever is that of those birds, eh? So they always tend to tag along with the buffaloes. And that also reminds me of some other birds we also call the cattle egrets. For those of you who have been in big farms back home, you've seen some white birds in cattle fields, and those birds just do the same. When the cows move out there in the grass, they disturb the grass, and you'll get insects jumping up, and they'll feed on them. You see like that one moving there? He got one front left leg that have something like a little tumor or something. Hopefully she's going to turn around this other side. But I also tend to think she's a very old buffalo. You see all those white birds there in the background? That's the ones I'm talking about. Chris said that's a very good question. Do the animals use the same trails again and again? No, it depends on what animals you are talking about. Buffaloes do not have a particular specific way or specific route that they're going to use. But the hippo that you just saw with Sydney, because during the day, I'm sure he explained to you, the hippos will be in the water and they leave in the evening to go and feed. Hippos will have a particular trail, a particular path that they follow, way out and way back. But elephants, buffaloes, lions, they do not have a particular path that they are going to use. But that's a very good question. Now, we have seen two of the big five. Well done for the elephants, well done for the buffaloes. Trying to imagine whether you should be able to catch a cat, because it could be very exciting to catch a cat with this kind of beautiful light. I would imagine you'll get cats walking around because it's not hot at all. And in such an open area is a place I would not be surprised to see is something. But again, my luck could not be in Kenya. Maybe there could be some good luck in South Africa, but who knows?
Better luck would be nice at the moment. We heard Anna has been in the area, so we are looking around to see if we could find it. Sorry, just getting my directions right here. Yeah, so we are looking for Hosanna, who has been spotted drinking in recent times. And it's been hopefully an enjoyable drive for everybody watching along on Nat Geo Kids. I hope you learned plenty out of today's drive. I hope you enjoyed that elephant sighting as much as I did. How nice was that? And I believe Sydney got you a hippo as well. So you've been blessed with the big mammals this afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you enjoyed it, please do watch again, and remember you can send in your questions to natgeokids@wildearth.tv. We will see you next time.
A very, very good afternoon and welcome to the beginning of our normal game drive. My name is Sydney Pumurani Mikosi and I'm traveling with David, who is my camera operator. We are both going to be with you this afternoon and we will try by all means to get you see a lot of animals. Please don't forget that this is an interactive live safari and you can talk to us by dialing #SafariLive on YouTube chat stream. You can also follow us on Twitter #SafariLive. So my plan this afternoon is looking for the spotted cats. I haven't seen any since yesterday. My first drive was yesterday. I'm missing them. Kathy, I didn't get your question very nicely. If you can repeat that. Kathy, there is quite a lot of factors which determines the animals in order to leave the game reserves and other protected areas. These animals, they are staying in a fenced area and our fences are well maintained. Here comes the problems. Big animals such as elephants sometimes fight leaning against the fence and open the fence, which can give access to other animals to go out. Other animals such as the artfuck. The artfuck digs the hole underneath the fence and some of these holes can be huge in such a way that they can be able to fit some of the cat's animals to go out. So that is what causes problems. But if you can check and if you can assess, our fences, they are well maintained. Problem is most of these fights are taking place at night when we're not there. So these animals don't really go out for feeding purposes. They've got enough. So I haven't seen any of these leopards yet. I am hoping to see one or two this afternoon. I am sure these leopards are enjoying enough shade here because the bush looks very much thick and there's quite a lot of shades. Some of the shades are even high up by the big trees. And when these leopards are high up by the trees, the leaves can be able to easily blend the spots with the tree leaves to camouflage them. So it is very much strange by this time of the year not to... It is very much strange by this time of the year to drive for such a long distance and not picking up some of the snake tracks. Thank you very, very much to all of those who are giving the positive comments and hot welcomes about me coming back from my leave. Quite a lot of dung beetles are flying here. I can see them. I can't see where they're landing, but I've met quite a lot of dung beetles, my favorite animals. No leopard tracks yet, just quite a lot of elephant tracks and their small calves on the ground. So I am now heading towards the central part of the game reserve where I am hoping to find some tracks. Christine, it was a very complicated leave because it was raining all the time. So I went to a place called Tavazimbi. It's called the Marakele National Park where I used to work before. And while I was there, I didn't do much because it was raining all the time. Then from there I went to Venda When I got to Venda, it started raining consecutively. So, but the rain is not bad at this stage, is what we are looking for. So this leave, I didn't do much. Maybe the next leave, I will recover and visit other places. So at least here I'm starting to get some of the tracks. There's some lion tracks heading towards the eastern side of the reserve. So now let's carry on to David by the Masai Mara, who is looking for the lions. I'm also going to start looking for the lions.
Well, I have arrived in an area that I call the Sausage Republic, because sausages, or rather the sausage tree pride, will always live around this area, and they don't move a lot, especially I would say the last 1 month or so. And the reason for that, I would guess, there are always 5 females, and of the 5, 2 of them are pregnant, and the lead female, or the queen of that pride, that is called a kingtail, because she got a bent tail, she's also pregnant. And then there's one more female that is just so huge, and I've had my miscalculation for the last 3 weeks, saying she's gonna pop up tomorrow, it's gonna be the next week, though she has not. So they always tend to hang around this particular area, and I think by having 2 females that are pregnant, they will not want to wander or move a lot of cover so much ground or distance just because of that one particular reason. Now, every time I've come, I have always seen them in a radius of about 5 miles, and this is a time I would expect them to be outside. Apart from Kinky Tail, the other female, the second one, that's the one I expect to get the cubs first before Kingtail, and this is their home turf. This is the area they'll always roam and fight for this territory. They do not allow any other lions around here. And yes, and possibly even me, I'll be very excited to get the cubs, and especially that one small one, because in that pride of 5 there are 3 cubs, 2 that are 3 months old, 1 that's about 2 months old, and that one why I keep celebrating and enjoying every time I see it is because it had a brother, and it lost the brother in ways, of course, we do not know, of some wilderness reasons. You know, it could have been a leopard or an eagle or maybe a hyena, or it got sick, or it got abandoned somewhere and was not able to catch up with the rest. So personally, I'll also be very excited to see those cubs. I mean, and especially at a time like now when they're always full of energy and they'll be out and about playing. So again, as I was telling the kids before, let's keep our fingers crossed, toes crossed, and open our eyes before it gets dark. But even if it'll get dark, we've got some wonderful infrared we shall be using to search for the sausages. For those who have never heard about them, sausages is a pride of lions that have been known to climb a particular tree that's called the sausage tree. I mean sausage tree because when that particular tree fruits, the fruit take the shape of a sausage. So that's why we call that tree the sausage tree. And these lions on very many occasions have been known to climb particular trees, but they love this particular one here because it have huge trunk, the very solid trees, huge branches, and also they got very big leaves, which gives them very nice shade. So now, my friends, or my favorite lions, the sausages, where are you? And the 2 males that have been hanging around with them, and those 2 males, we call them Old Donyo Payak. And I'm sure if I see either, I'm sure I'll see the rest of the group. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's looking for cats. Pat is also doing the same in Juma.
Yes, I am. I'm hot on the trail of Hosanna, and I think we are getting closer. So he has been reported to be around Buffelshoek, over in the northwest of Juma. We are looking around here. Hopefully, we will get to see the little chief. It's been quite some time for me. I don't think I've seen him before when I left on leave, which was over 2 weeks ago now, so it's been quite some time. We have seen a couple of tracks around as well, and we are closing on the dam, so hopefully we get our rosetted leopard. He's probably taking it very easy right now, I can tell you that much. This is not ideal weather for hunting, pretty much doing anything that involves really. It's yeah, this kind of weather, you don't really see many active animals at all. Connor, the first leopard I saw at SafariLive was actually the little chief himself, Hosanna. It was awesome. It was also the first leopard I had ever seen in the wild, and oh, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. These iconic African animals, I mean, you see them so much on documentaries, you hear so much about them, learn such a bit, but seeing them in real life is just indescribable. You know, you can know so much until you actually see it. You don't really know exactly what you're looking for, you know. They're bigger, sometimes some features are more prominent, some features might stick out more than a photo or video. Well, it looks like Sydney is also doing exactly what I'm doing and looking for some leopard. So let's cross and check it out.
So I am now heading back to the Buffelshoek Dam, where we have just seen the hippopotamus earlier, in order to see if we're not going to be lucky with Hosanna, as I have just picked up some updates that Hosanna is somewhere in the area. So we might be lucky with Hosanna at any time. So hopefully we might be lucky with him. Yeah, Eriksen coming. So I am just trying to talk to the guys who are at the sighting at the moment. So we are right now at the Buffelshoek Dam, and then this is where we are hoping to find Hosanna. He is approaching this area from, I think, the Firebreak side, which is much more towards the right. He might be somewhere in this drainage line. Yeah, Eriksen coming. I am right here at the dam, and what is the direction of movement at the moment? So it is happening somewhere here. It's not far. Maybe we're just about a minute away. So we are going to be now observant as the updates are leading us to these thick bushes here. So we might be lucky with him at any time. So the bush is very much thick at the moment, which is something going to make it a little bit difficult. but we will find him. He's somewhere here. Tommy, the leopards can survive up to 13 to 15 years. Yes, some of them has been recorded living way much older than that. So I think they are having a sighting somewhere here in this area where at the moment. Rexen, come in. Our bikes,
Well, sorry about that, and sometimes you'll always have these technical issues happening. Sometimes just because of bad weather, or sometimes it's because of the equipment we use. Is quite, I would say, an elaborate communication from point A to point B for us to get to you. Anyhow, I am still in the Sausage Republic and crossing my fingers and doing everything I can to see whether I can be able to smoke out these beautiful cats that are my favorite lions in the Mara. The Mara have loads of lions, very many, well, I would say, well, about 10 different prides. That's a lot of lions, and some of them are small, you know, as 3 in terms of size, and some of them, like the one that we call the Olololo, as many as 16. Now, my favorite one, the sausages, is said before, 5 females, 3 cubs. That makes 8, and at the moment they got 2 males that have been hanging around with them. So I want to get to the big road here, as they'll call the M25. But you got some elephants up there on the. What do you think of those ellis there? I'm sure I'm gonna level up and see elephants, and what I'm seeing they're doing, they are like grazing or eating on much higher ground, because the flat area that I just came from, it's a bit wet and very muddy, and elephants, being intelligent as they are, they'll try and avoid the areas that are waterlogged, because sometimes they get what you call foot rot, and they don't want to get their toes infected. So the area they are in is a bit raised, much better or bigger gradient, and water falling there from the rain to just wash down, and it's much drier, I would guess. See that female there, or that cow walking side to side with her calf. Some wonderful light. I'm sure this calf has a lot to learn from the mother in terms of how to feed, and as they try to climb that small little hill there, how to balance of all the animals in Africa that I know of. Child of the universe, I'll tell you, the elephants have very round and huge surface on their feet, and their feet are also padded, so they are able to avoid the thorns, anything sharp, because they got like something like a sponge under their feet, and that's what helps them as they keep moving. Well, I think my heart is telling me, child of the universe, lions, lions, so I just need to move and get those lions, which are trying to be a bit elusive, but I think I'm at the right place. Where I am now, I'm a bit raised, and all to my right, it's like lower, on a lower elevation, so I should be able to spot better for any cats moving in the grass, this very famous savanna of the Masai Mara. They could be anywhere. Sometimes the challenge is when they lie flat on the, in the grass, you could just miss them even if they're 10 meters close to the road, because they blend in very well, and the grass might be of the same height with the bodies of these cats when they're lying flat in the grass. But As I said, because we got 3 cubs in this pride, this time around the cubs will not be lying flat. They'll be out, jumping, playing and moving around. So I'm still very hopeful I'll be able to see either a tail, move, or something that will make me spot the main pride of these lions. I want to cover as much ground as possible. I've done one huge loop and I got one more loop that I want to do and zero in, and from there I am going to have a new game plan of these lions. Still smells very fresh. All the signs we had before of rain are gone, which is a very good sign. The clouds had built up are all gone. And Sydney, what do you want to tell us about Hosanna?
So we are right behind Hosanna, who is now deep in the drainage at the moment. We just had a little bit of a sighting on him just now, so the chances of us to see Hosanna, they are very much high. I have seen him. He is somewhere deep in this drainage, and we are trying by all means to have a better sighting, but it seems difficult. I'm gonna try and see if we can go around and see if maybe we cannot have a better sighting from the other side. He just got disappeared somewhere by the other side of the drainage, so I'm gonna try and see if we can find him again. It is a very difficult area where he is at the moment. So I am not alone here where we are. These other vehicles, and they're also battling to get hold of him. Thank you very, very much for the positive comments. So I hope we are going to find him again, because he's not going fast. He's very much slow at the moment. Oh, it is okay. Very difficult to see from here, so we're gonna have to go around. I've got quite a lot of hope that we're going to find him down here. So he was heading much more towards this side. So at least here is getting much more open, which is good for the visibility. So there is no alarm calls, nothing. No alarm calls, nothing here where we are, so it means the other animals have not yet picked up the presence of this big predator. So we're just trying to pass this area here, which was trying to be difficult, but we have won the battle. So he is somewhere here probably. Let's hope he doesn't get disappeared. Too much green tea. saw him, he was somewhere there, coming towards this direction, because I can see far. So now let's quickly go to David in the Masai Mara.
Well, I've just paused here and I'm trying to read the body language of these zebras, and it's not of any help to me. And sometimes when you see or you watch plains game like zebras and they look a little bit nervous or worried or behaving in a way that they can sense or smell something, that would help explain where these sausages are. And they're having a little fight there. Those could be young stallions, and sometimes if the main stallion is in this herd, it could be time for the young ones to leave the herd, and when they don't leave, they're definitely forced out. These are the plains zebra or the common zebra, which form a big part of the migration. Yeah, these two here are up to no good. They're either going for each other, but of course it's a bit playful. Oops. But when it's an actual fight, they kick, and they kick very hard. And that's pretty cool, yeah, and I'm sure, Cassie is enjoying the final control. Daniel, I agree with you, and just see how they turn out. Sometimes the stallions will always use their huge teeth kind to bite each other. You see there? Speak of the devil. I'm just hoping this is a bit playful, because I would imagine how painful that can be. Oops. Horses also do the same. Sure, we all know horses and zebras in the same family. So this particular two definitely got some bad blood. The third one is coming in the mix. Yeah, and that all is very friendly. So when time comes for the young, stallions to be shown the door, you get the main or the dominant one kicking pretty hard, and then they go from what you'd call a bachelor herd, and then along the way one of them will come out and go get his own mare or wife, and then they're going to have their own foals. Yeah, the three of them there, they're quite having fun of going on each other. Maybe it won't be long before it comes to an actual fight. All this open area you see is the world of the sausages. Now when they would kick at that point and kick backwards, then I would call that a very serious fight, or a time to get the young stallions out. But you see, it's still very playful. It's pretty fun, eh? It reminds me of horses. Near my village, we got a neighbor who got so many horses, and we would always go on the fence and watch the horses play and run and just behave just like these zebras here. Zebras, I just want you to look a bit nervous, and your body language might point out to something that I'm looking for, and I'm sure you can do it if you see it. And it's interesting how sometimes the prey or the plains game will always spot these cats before us, and many times we have used them to help us search or find lions or cheetahs or hyenas or leopards. Remember, our drive is always very interactive. Should you have any questions or comments, please send them through #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can keep following us on the YouTube chat stream. This is the Mara Triangle of Kenya, and I need to move on and look for my lions, because Sydney is back with the Hosanna.
So look at that. I have got Hosanna at the moment, who is trying to patrol the area. He's just been walking around and trying to mark the area. I will refer it as an area because it's not his territory yet. He's trying to mark the area, but I'm sure he's not marking for territorial purposes. He's just marking, for him, maybe it's a form of play. So he's going back to the same direction where he came from earlier on. He's going back in that area. So look at that. So I'm just gonna try and go around and see if we can improve this sighting. I think we can see him still from here. So you can see he is now standing against one of the amarula trees and he's looking at the opposite side. Maybe he's fascinated by something. Look at that, he's trying to sniff there. Maybe he's trying to sniff some of the markings left behind by some of the leopard before, as those markings can go up to 3 months. They can still pick up the scent. So you can see that Hosanna is growing very quickly. Giraffe girl, nice to hear from you. Hosanna at this stage is true. I can see that it doesn't have much in the stomach. Possibilities for him to go for hunting, they are very much high this afternoon. So the thing is, the leopards are not selective. He can pick up something very small, diminutive size of a scrub hair. So you can see that he is busy sniffing at the amarula tree there. And I've seen quite a lot of leopards. They do spray their urines on these kind of amarula trees. And if you look at the gap between the ground and where he's sniffing, it's normally where the urine is deposited. So I can see that he's gonna come much more here in front of us, and let's just see if he's gonna come out to this direction. And while I'm waiting to see where he's going, let's go to Pat. Pat is having one of his special preference when it comes to praying.
Well, I think Hosanna would love to snack on one of these. We have 3 male impala who have created a little bit of a roadblock for us here and are just drinking in this little waterhole. Now that it is starting to rain quite a bit, we are finding that there's a lot more little puddles, and this one is so skittish. It's a lot of little puddles and holes of water around that animals are really utilising. So we really also have to keep an eye out for them as well, because you never know what's going to be around when there's water and mud. Even if it's just a tiny little patch like this one we have here, it's obviously enough. There's quite an unpleasant smell coming from that water hole as well. It's not what I would describe as tasteful, that's for sure. So these two have probably calmed down now after all of the female impalas have laid their lambs. The hormones that they are releasing kind of gets the males a little bit antsy, because they think that they're coming into estrus again when really they're not, and so they'll have little fights here and there and kind of act like they would when it is breeding season. What's this one doing? It's checking if it's safe to walk down, or perhaps there's nope, he's not going to try that anymore. Oh, that was great. Well, we got a nice shot here. You can look at the back of the legs here. So those little bits at the back of the legs there, they are glands, and apparently they secrete an oil which will help to, if they get split up by a predator or something like that, it will help to find each other once they are safe and can be reunited. Now, we did have a question. I didn't quite catch it. I think it was whether an impala would attack a leopard. Oh, sorry, one more time. Sorry, the Game Drive radio was interfering. Oh. Rosalind with... Sorry, yeah. Rosalind, would an impala attack a leopard in defence? No, they would not. They would stand there. They would get close to it because they would rather have it in sight than run and not have it in sight. So we'll get close to it and then they'll just stand and shout at it. They make a very... I don't even know how I would describe it. It's kind of a mixture of a whole lot of sounds. It's a... that's there. Oh, what a beautiful shot this is. Look at those. So, they have really nice eyes and they are an antelope. And antelope actually means bright eyes. So they're not bright in the sense of their colour. They're obviously very dark black, but I can definitely see what they were getting at there with the bright eyes there. Quite captivating. Deep black. It's almost a little bit alien-like, isn't it? I can hear the mother calling the baby coming from somewhere around here. It's definitely different to their shouting sound than maybe before. It's a little bit... So that indicates that they are just trying to call their sons. Yes, daughters, sons or daughters. And it looks like these ones have finished up their drink and gotten out of the road for us so we can continue on. Sydney did beat me to finding Hosanna. So let's go and catch back up with the pair.
Chances of having a better sighting there, they are very there. I can see that he is now moving towards the southern side. It's right here somewhere in front. It's just that with the bush recovering, it's not easy, but we're going to see him just now. His own territory, so he's just about to get to 3 years old. Next year, February, he will be celebrating his birthday to get to 3 years old. So the 4th year is when the testosterone level will be going high, and maybe after that we will see what is going to happen. He might fight against Tingana in order to have the territory, or else he might so he's using the concealment all the time. Maybe he is trying to be very much clever here, because he is not having a potential target at the moment, but I can see that he is using concealment all the time. So not only the prey animals depend on their stripes as well as the spots in order to avoid detection. Also, the predators, they rely on their spots in order to avoid the prey animals to concentrate on them when they are conducting their hunting. So you can see now he's coming out by the clear open space. He is lovely. Look at that. With the sun on him, this looks nicely. And he was looking at one of the amarula trees. Maybe he's trying to say, oh, this is a very nice marula tree, for in case if I catch something, I'm going to take it up here. As I can see, this marula tree has got very nice big branches. So you can see that is a suitable tree for this animal to host a prey. So we're just gonna try to pull forward, and don't get surprised. As I indicated, I have been called into the sighting by other vehicles. I'm not alone at the moment. So now let's cross over to David, who is looking at one of those trees, the derivative of the name Sausage Pride.
Very well done, Sydney, for getting the chief of Juma, Hosanna. And I've been talking of the sausage tree pride, and instead of getting the lions themselves, I got the tree. And it's the tree I was talking about. And if you look at the shape of those fruits that you see hanging there, they take the shape of a sausage. And this is a classical example of a sausage tree. Of course, named after the fruit shape of sausages. And if you look at it carefully, it's got very green leaves, huge and very solid branches. Magic Dragon Wizard, you are wondering the fruit from the sausage, whether they are edible. To the animals, yes. To us, no. But we use them a lot locally here to make some local wine. When we have big celebrations like weddings, or when we have such huge bumper harvest of any cash crop, and more so, say, corn, or what we call locally here maize, and people want to celebrate that harvest, or as I said, if there's big wedding, we'll always pick those fruits, but we'll always wait until they fall down. When they fall down, that's when they're ripe. And we remove the husk from the top and get a big gourd of water, and you place it close to fire, put a bit of sugar inside and some honey. Then on the third day, we put those fruits in there to help ferment the wine, and the wine that you get from it, it's very good. It's kind of a liqueur, you know. But for the animals, for example, elephants, they have been known to eat them. Giraffes have been known to eat them. But personally, I do not think they have a lot of nutrition value, and they eat them for fiber to help in digestion. At least I feel a bit excited. I haven't seen my lions yet, but I have seen the tree they've been named after. Paula, you're asking how large the fruit gets, and sometimes you can get one fruit that's almost 3 feet in length, and if you weigh them, some of them could be about 2 kilograms. I'm talking about 5 pounds in weight. They're huge and they're heavy. Way back before we became professionals and we could be out there, Paula, doing a small, lunch box out on a drive, we used also to benefit or use the tree for shade. And we learned our lessons very, in the hard way, because once the fruit would be ripe, you would be sitting down there holding your lunch box, and the fruit would just, detach itself from its stalk and right on your head like that. So we're talking about 5 pounds, Paula, on your head, boom. So we made sure when you stay or use those trees for shade or to snack, you first watch out, making sure that either the fruit, the sausages are pretty young and you don't have any that's mature, or you stay on the very edge where you have nothing hanging on top of your head. Very good. I'm not giving up on my lions as much as I've seen my sausage tree. Let's go back to Hosanna, who is on the move.
Hosanna is now trying to stalk some of the birds. He just missed the 3 francolins and 1 dove, and I can see that those francolins, some of them are still in front of him. He is slowly moving much more that side for a chance. Maybe he wants to try for a second chance. It's a clear confirmation that this cat is very hungry and is on a hunting mode. So we're just going to carry on and move further so that we can have a better sighting. Oh, again there I can see he's aiming. He's aiming at the bird. The chances are not very there because Hosanna, this side, is not yet responsible. Torchwood, both Torchwood and Juma, they are within the very same area of jurisdiction controlled by Tingana. Only if maybe Tingana got defeated on a fight as time goes on, when Hosanna is growing, is when something like that can happen. Or when Hosanna is strong enough to chase Tingana, might even chase Tingana outside Torchwood as well, as this territory goes all the way to Torchwood. So we are still going to see something interesting as time goes on. It's just still going to take time because it's going to take a year or two until we see the confrontation between the two. At the moment, competition amongst them is just about food availability. Not yet, it's not yet about the territorial behavior. So I can see that now he is moving much more at this side. He is not moving very fast. He is moving and concentrating, moving, concentrating, both at the same time. Maybe he is taking us to a kill. You will never know. These kind of animals can smell from a long distance. Maybe he's following a scent, or else he's conducting his own hunting. He is very much observant. He is walking and stalking at the same time. Walking, stalking, stopping. Every time his concentration is 100%. So you can see now that he's right on top of the termite mound, still concentrating on what is happening in the area. The sun is very hot at the moment, but he's not worried about the strongness of the sun. Look at that. So he's So you can see now that he is passing by on a clear space at the moment. This is a very good sighting, as we were battling to have this kind of an opportunity. Look at that. So while he is moving much more towards that direction, we can quickly go to Pat, who is also having something.
Yes, welcome back. We are going down to the hyena den now, but we're just checking on some tracks. Lion? Okay, cool. We'll check up on that later. So there was some lion tracks, but firstly we're going to hit the hyena den and see if there are any cubs willing to come out and play this afternoon. It's been hit and miss a lot lately with the hyena den. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. So hopefully they are there, and it would be nice to also check in on the matriarch Corky, or Pretty as well. Corky's cub Plonk is just getting cuter and cuter. Usually hyenas lose their cuteness as they get older, but Plonk just seems to be getting cuter. Oh, we got a warthog. James, what during my time in Africa has surprised me the most? There's been a lot of surprises in Africa. Geez, I'm gonna have to think about this one. What surprised me the most? Let's stop and look at this warthog, who's being very placid right now while I think about this. This looks like a male warthog. You can tell that, well, he's got his back facing us now, so we can definitely see the testicles there, but if he was facing front onto us, he's got 4 warts on his face, whereas females will only have 2. Now, back to the question. What surprised me the most about Africa? I would say how diverse it is here. Well, I mean, that's more speaking about South Africa. Of course, Africa is diverse. It's huge. It's a massive continent. But more specifically, South Africa. It reminds me a lot of Australia in that there's a lot of different regions and a lot of different climates, which makes a lot of different habitats and different environments. So it really does vary across the country. The further south you go, obviously, the colder it gets. Very similar to Australia, which is cool. And I'm just also surprised at how drawn to some of these animals I have become. I honestly never expected this. I thought that I would come, check it out, I mean, I obviously knew I was going to like it, but just not this much. You know, I thought I was, going to enjoy it and then get back to the ocean. But, I mean, I'm enjoying this just as much as scuba diving at the moment. Everything's so new and so fresh. So yeah, it's been a nice little journey so far between here and the Mara. Both beautiful spots, both totally different, both unique in their own way, and yeah, just awesome places. Anyway, enough of my babbling. Let's continue on past this warty and into the hyena den. To slow down for this one here. And while I am going to the hyena den, David, I believe, is looking for lions in the Mara. So, over to you, David Gadu.
Well, hopefully you're going to see the hyenas and most likely see those small little cubs that have been entertaining us every other day. Well, out here in the bush or in the wilderness, sometimes we have those days when things don't go as per your plan. And I think this could be one of those days because I think I have done all what I needed to do and my plans or my cards have played them very well. But the lions have just proved to be a bit elusive. And as a guide, that is one of the downside when you feel a little bit frustrated, when you think you have looked everywhere, you have combed every bush and the characters or the particular animal you're looking for does not show up. This happens a lot, and you'll say this is the day when things are not going my way. And it's not because they're not going my way. I'm sure the lions are just somewhere, and I've not just maybe been very lucky to get to where they are. Maybe I've passed them a few times, and again, as I was saying, if they have eaten and they are very well fed, so chances are I could very easily miss them. But Hosanna is still taking care or is making up for that frustration.
So you can see that Hosanna is now slowly moving much more towards the eastern side of the game reserve. And I can see that he is really on a hunting mood. The tail is moving all the time and he is lifting up the head every time. So you can see that he's trying to see what is happening and what are the prey animals occurring or concentrating in these thick bushes where we are at the moment. So he is getting camouflaged very easily. You can see there in between those trees that to see him is not easy if you don't know he's there. So it's very easy to go past him. So we're just gonna try and improve the sighting as he's moving much more towards this direction. So let's hope we catch something today, because I can see that he is very hungry. He is trying and he has been trying. He is trying by all means to get something to eat for this evening. But I never saw any of the prey. I can see his concentration, but I never saw any of the prey animal here where we are. But as usual, the cats they can see way much better than we do. So the fact that we are not seeing what he is seeing, it does not mean something is not here. So you can see that he is changing directions all the time. Catherine, you can see that he is so much like a Tingana. The big difference is the dewlap. I am not seeing it yet developing big there. And he's not yet fat, but you can see he's growing quickly and he's very healthy. You can see he's looking at something now, and how he's concentrating, I can see that he doesn't want any detection. He's using the termite mound in order to focus. You can see how he's moving the head. But when trying to look at his target, I can't see it nicely because of the thickness of the bushes. But I can promise you, he have just spotted something. So look at how difficult it is within these green bushes to see these animals. You can just see a small patch of the spots going that way. That is how difficult it is. If it's so difficult for me to see this cat from the vehicle, what about the prey animal behind the thick bushes? So I can see him still. So we are going to have a sighting again in a few minutes as he is heading much more towards this side. So I can see him right here in front. At least here is much better. It's not much thicker like where we come from. So the side where we are coming from is much thicker than where we are. Where we are at the moment, let's hope, let's cross our fingers. Let's cross our fingers for him. Let's cross our fingers for him. You can see he's right here. Look at the pink nose now. Look at him. Now he's nice and clear. And you can see the vibrissae, the whiskers as well on the side of the mouse there, which also serve for quite a very important purpose at night for him to orientate and to navigate. He can easily get disappeared. I can see him. He's right in front here. He's right in front of us. So you can see he's right here. Look at that. Thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. Let's meet again tomorrow morning.